My name's Tom Hamp, and I'm a business coach with AdvoCoach of Mid-Michigan. We do this on Facebook Live every Tuesday at 9:30. And today we're a little tardy, but that's okay. We had some jostling of some schedules today and that type of thing. So sometimes things get in the way. We're just a little late, but that's okay. We'll keep going forward. So what you can do to help us today is help us by asking questions. So if you're tuning into this live or non-live, certainly ask questions about the topic or things that you need to know about some of the topics that we're talking about today. And then also share this video with others so that they can also get help in some of the things that they need in their business and some decisions that they're making going forward. So what we're going to talk a little bit about, before we get started, I'm saying let's talk about what makes me look good on this Facebook Live broadcast, and that's ColdBox Live. ColdBox Live is our sponsor, and ColdBox Live is a professional live streaming service that takes your live videos to the next level using professional production equipment, clear audio and graphics like nameplates, logos, and more. If you'd like to take the hassle out of your next live video and look professional on screen, visit the link right here to learn more and book your session today. So again, you can also help us again by asking some questions. I'd love to have any questions that you have today, whether again we're live or not, and then we'll get the answer back to you. We want to take you with really talk about leadership today, but really over the last couple of sessions we've talked about the characteristics of good leaders, exemplary leaders, and a couple of sessions ago we gave you a list of 20 characteristics. We kind of talked about the top 4 that typically most people pick, and they real quick are honesty, a leader that's honest, a leader that's competent, a leader that's inspiring, and one that also is forward-looking. So that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today, and kind of stretch those out, get into the weeds with it a little bit, that type of thing. So remember, when we ask you those questions as far as that survey, we said for the majority of people to follow willingly, and that's key here, is that we want to understand who are the type of people that will follow willingly. They want a leader who they believe, again, is honest, competent, inspiring, and forward-looking. So let's tear apart that a little bit. Let's talk about the first one, the honest. So this particular characteristic is selected more often than any other leadership characteristic. I find that very interesting, is that regardless of where you are, people want somebody that's honest. And we know the old adage that you can be honest for a long time, and the moment you're dishonest, you're looked upon forever after that as being somebody that's dishonest. So again, your reputation is very important. So being honest as a leader is one of the utmost things that people look for and are willing to follow if you're honest. It's also the single most important factor in the leader-constituent relationship. So again, very important. It's selected the most often, but it's also very important as far as the leadership factors. People certainly want to know that a leader is truthful, ethical, and principled, and that over 80% of constituents want their leaders to be honest above all else, is a message that every leader, if you're in that position, that every leader must take to heart. Okay, of all the qualities that people look for and admire in a leader, honesty actually is the most personal as well, because nobody wants to follow a leader that is dishonest. It can certainly get in the way of what's going on. So again, being honest, being full transparency, regardless of it's bad news as well, people just want you to shoot straight with them. Honesty is tied to the values and ethics. So again, we certainly want to make sure that we're doing a good job, that leaders, that when you're honest, that you stand on your important principles, that when you create confusion in a company because you're not being honest, or you're trying to gloss over some certain issues, that can create some confusion in a company, and you're only as good as your word. So again, just looking over that, that first characteristic, being honest, is of the utmost importance. So that's number one. What people look for in the characteristics of an exemplary leader is somebody that's honest. Number 2, they want somebody that's forward-looking. This being forward-looking is represented 62% of the survey. So 62% of the time that the constituents picked forward-looking. I think it's pretty basic here is that a leader needs to tell their constituents where they're going, whether it's an organization, an association, a group. They want to know where they're going first and foremost. So we need to focus on how things will be better in the future, especially if they're not going well now. I do know when new leaders come into an organization, they certainly want to put their best foot forward, so we want to make sure that they get a glimpse of what you're thinking as a leader going forward. We have a question today, and also I want to thank Jamie Taylor for checking in with us today. Thanks for being here, Jamie. But she has a question. It says, leaders can exist in any position of a company, correct? Not just in management and executive levels. And that's a great question. That's exactly right. What we're talking about here is a lot of information out of the Leadership Challenge, a book that we really take a lot of this information out of. And leadership is really any level. It's not just your owners and your upper management, but even in your lower management, when you have groups or in a work area, that you can have those leaders, and it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be boisterous and somebody that just stands up and says, I'm the leader. Really, it's how you act and behave every single day. So yes, you as a leader can be a leader regardless of the environment if you exhibit a lot of these qualities that we're talking about today. So think about that going forward. But great question. You don't have to be, upper management, a CEO, a president of a company to be a leader. You can certainly do it on the lowest end as well. Let's go back to what we're talking about here, forward looking. We also need to connect to, as a leader, if I want to be forward looking, I need to connect you as my constituents to what I'm talking about. It can't be unbelievable. So I can't be way out there with my forward, my glimpse into the future. So we want to make sure that these things that we're talking about are realistic. So we want to connect my point of view with the views, hopes, and dreams of my employees, my constituents, the people that are following me. So just a little bit of information kind of there on being forward-looking going forward. We have another visitor. Trying to see who else is with us here today. I don't see anybody that's checked in. So I just continue to talk about, we want to talk about survey looking. It's very interesting when we do this survey, when the survey was done in different areas of the company, that most of your senior levels in the organization, such as your upper management or those that have been with the company a long time, they tended to pick forward-looking more than your first-line employees, people that might be in a manufacturing line or the first level, as far as forward-looking, because it doesn't necessarily have that much of an effect on them. So we thought that was kind of interesting in the survey as well, is that upper management seemed to tend to be in the high 90s as far as somebody forward-looking, and then our first-line constituents, supervisory roles, it dropped all the way down to 60. So very interesting. But the key thing here is we want this consistency over time. We want to make sure that you're delivering the message. One, again, being honest, but two, making sure that you're forward-looking. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're right 100% of the time, but that you have a plan going forward. Number three, we want to make sure that you're competent, right? So we want to make sure that you're competent in what you're doing. Your constituents will follow you if they feel, and this is really a feel, that you know what you're doing. So to enlist in another cause, people must believe that their leader knows exactly what they're doing and is competent to guide them along the path to the future. So they must see their leader as capable and effective. It's certainly difficult to follow someone that they don't know what they're doing. Put yourself in that type of scenario right now. If you have a leader that just seems to be out of sorts or doesn't really understand the whole thing, it gets difficult. But remember is that we're not asking people to know every single thing about a particular company, because it's impossible, right? If you're trying to understand and know exactly every answer to every question, difficult. But if you have a good idea of what's happening and are able to lead people in that way, I think that's what people really gravitate toward as far as you being confident. So really, a leadership competent refers to a leader's track record and ability to get things done. So it certainly inspires confidence. People become better followers because of it. So going forward, if you needed to know it all, you wouldn't need followers. So again, remember, to be a good leader and to be competent, you don't need to know it all, but just to have a good idea as far as where you're going in the company and make sure that you can get things done. And the last one really is inspiring. You want to be inspiring. So people expect their leaders to be excited, energetic, positive, full of energy, but not over the top of energy, but making sure that we're inspiring people. And the thing is that you want to have people inspire you. You want to be, as a leader, you want to be able to inspire them to follow some of your vision, your forward thinking. So it becomes crucial that you are able to inspire people in that way. So I think people long to find some greater sense of purpose and worth, and that's what's proved in when we do some of this research, that people are working to achieve certain things, and you as a leader, by sharing what your forward vision is, that you can inspire people to do really well because they're apt to follow you because of some of the things that you are accomplishing. So again, just going back over what we discussed today, honesty, first and foremost. You got to be an honest person, transparent. You want to make sure that you're competent. You want to be inspiring. And then last but not least, you want to be forward-looking, because credibility matters. In the book, the authors, Kouzes and Posner, have some laws of leadership. And the first one is, if you don't believe in the messenger, you won't believe the message. So really, these four stand out. When I'm a leader and I'm delivering on all four of these, I become more believable, I become more credible, people are more willing to follow me. And then their second law of leadership is always do what you say you will do. Very important. Don't promise things and then not follow up, because the first time they might give you a pass, the second time it's a pattern, and now they definitely will have some issues going forward. So really, that kind of wraps up this week. Again, we talked about the four characteristics of exemplary leadership. Once again, being honest, being competent, being inspiring, and being forward-looking. And I want to invite you to come back for next week's, which we really talk about that first practice of exemplary leadership, and that's called Model the Way. So we're going to talk about that next week. We want to thank you for joining us today. Again, my name's Tom Hamp, and I'm with AdvoCoach of Mid-Michigan. This is Facebook Live called Tuesdays with Tom. We do it every Tuesday, mostly at 9:30. A little late today, but mostly at 9:30. And again, we want to thank you for watching. We want to thank you for listening, asking questions. Again, continue to ask questions, and we'll get that information back to you. And once again, all these sessions are sponsored by Coldbox Live. Coldbox Live is a professional live streaming service that takes your live videos to the next level using professional production equipment, clear audio and graphics like nameplates, logos, and more. If you'd like to take the hassle out of your next live video and look professional on screen, visit the link right here to learn more and book your session today. So again, thank you for watching and listening today. Please join the conversation with hashtag TwT Leadership and hashtag Tuesdays with Tom. Do this for me over the next week or so. Send me the trait that is most important to you and why of the things that we talked about today, and we'll get you an answer back. We'd love for you to participate that way. So again, thanks for being with us today, and we'll see you next week.